my whistleblower story blew up last week. That's the Phizer gate whistleblower. I represent her. And what she details is shocking. The clinical trials were a joke, complete crock. They were utterly unscientific. They did not meet any standard of medicine. This is someone that has almost 2 decades of experience in this field.
What's her name, by the way?
Brooke Jackson. And so what came out, it was published in the British Medical Journal. They verified and validated and vouched for the data and information that she produced that showed that basic methods of scientific standards for clinical testing were not met. They didn't even properly blind people. I mean, to give you an idea of how bad it was, if you walked into the clinical testing center, you would see needles sticking out of bags and people's private medical records calendared on the wall. I mean, it was they didn't take baseline data. They fabricated and falsified reports. They didn't even track adverse events. When they knew of adverse events, they didn't even report the adverse events. They were paying people under the table to participate in the process illicitly, and they all knew it. They all knew it, and it was systematic. It was so big that her supervisor said, we can't do anything about this because it's happening everywhere, not just the place she was looking at. And when she told the FDA, all of a sudden, right away, she gets fired. And the question becomes, how did Phizer and her employer know that she had talked to the FDA? Unless the FDA ran right to Phizer to make sure they silenced her and shut her up. And if they did this about this, what else did they cover up? What else is the corruption and collusion in? So it's a real-life Goliath story from the 4th season of Goliath on Amazon, which is very good about Big Pharma.
Robert,
that details shocking evidence of Phizer misconduct.
On the spot, I brought it up just by accident. So Goliath season 3 is correct. The FDA takes the words of scientists
season 4, yeah.
instead of independent hire.
Yes. Extraordinary shot. And in Europe, they recognize the significance of these allegations. Many doctors are saying to pull these authorizations for the vaccines for different groups based on the risk profile. In the U.S., they've been trying to suppress this story. So, some of these reporters, Dave Lionheart, New York Times, some other people who claim to be wanting to be independent on this, they need to be following up on this story because this is a extraordinary story of a near 20-year clinical test auditor in the clinical testing environment, in this precise environment, who saw shocking levels of malfeasance and misconduct and falsification and fabrication of data that the FDA suppressed rather than independently report, research, and stop.
Now, let me just get ahead of it. Insignificant Nat says, well, if it was nice knowing you, see you after YouTube suspension. Wrong. Because it's not just that we have a good team and a good community. It's that right now we are relaying the information that was relayed by an alleged whistleblower, and it's the dissemination of information, accurate or inaccurate, but there's no medical information, there's no medical advice, there's no legal advice, and there's no contradicting any official narrative. This, just so you know, people sent me the links to those, the whistleblower, and such a vault I am that I receive these things, and I don't say what I know or what I don't know because I'm a vault. But these are whistleblowers who are relaying their information, and it's out there and it's published in mainstream media.
The British Medical Journal. That's who vouched for this. This is not anybody. This is not some small publication. This is one of the leading medical publications in the world.
Ignored by some, recognized, or at least repeated by others. So, hey, maybe she's a liar. She might be a pathological liar. She might be a disgruntled employee.
She's got the tapes. She's got the emails.
Robert,
she's got
the documents. Disgruntled employee.
And that's what they reviewed. They independently vouched for and validated every single piece of information they gave her.
She may be a disgruntled employee, Robert.
She wasn't disgruntled at all. She just thought, hey, her job was to be the clinical auditor, to make sure that the testing data met scientific standards for accuracy purposes. Was shocked what she'd witnessed. Never witnessed anything like this in her life at this level. And again, the British Medical Journal independently validated, vouched for, and verified the accuracy of her information, which shows major corruption and collusion with the FDA and Phizer and the COVID-19 clinical testing, which is which for the world should be and is shocking information and should raise questions about every aspect of this that's going on.
Josiah Magnuson says, I've heard nothing of the whistleblower. Please tell me where I can learn more of it. I was sent articles. I mean, I'll see if I can, if anybody can pull them up.
The British Medical Journal, Phizer Gate, just, look that up and you'll find it pretty quick. And the intel. I mean, Zero Hedge, other people had it at the top. European doctors were deeply concerned by what they saw. European scientists, just the mainstream media in the U.S. tried to suppress it. But they can't suppress it forever. Her declaration will be part of the lawsuit brought against the emergency use authorization of this to stick this needle in kids. And even worse, the UN has proposed, and some school districts are considering, that if you leave your kid at school on a day that vaccination is occurring, they're going to call it implied consent and inject your kid without your knowledge.